We've got a real hot streak going here. Brockmire has shown up at the appointed time, ready to give us content. It's not exactly the podcast I expected, but it is a weekly hit, semi-regular weekly hit where we check in with our favorite sports broadcaster. He continues to drink too much, even though season 4 on Hulu, he was totally sober, and it was a happy ending. Now he's back on the sauce. Brockmire, thank you for being on with us again. A little early to be hitting the Sazerac.
Never too early to hit the Sazerac. Grow up. And that's just part of the intro now. Just whining about it's not a podcast. And gee, you fell off the wagon. I'm like, worse than my mother. Ladies and gentlemen, can your hat just say worse than my mother on it? My goodness.
Okay, let's see. Video team, can you put up on the screen, please, something that makes it look like my hat says worse than your mother? Continue, Brockmire.
Yeah, it's very fitting. And there's plenty of room on your gigantic hat, too. It's like a billboard. Anyway, as you say, I am here and ready to talk baseball, baby. Late June, favorite time of the year.
Yeah.
It's when every other major sport is dead as a doornail, and the fans are just finally tired of poking at the corpses of them, and our nation turns its lonely eyes back to the national pastime.
No. We'll get to baseball in a second, but we got to talk first about...
No.
About
what?
The NBA draft is tonight.
Oh, no. Yeah, you're doing that to me?
Yes.
NBA? After that, love letter to baseball?
Yes.
What's the matter with you? I mean, honestly, I'm supposed to be the baseball expert, right? That's why your beloved precious podcast, that's why you want me to do it. And you're talking about the draft? We're talking about the draft, not a game, not games that are being played, not a baseball game. We're talking about the NBA draft, not a game. Practicing for the future, not a game that I go out there and die for and call every game like it's my last, not the game that's being played of baseball. We're talking about the draft. How silly is, please, the draft.
Yes,
okay,
the draft,
you know what? Yeah, I'm on board. You know what? First, let me get drunk.
It's a big night. It's the draft. It's the NBA draft.
No, I want to talk. I do actually. All that said, I want to talk about it. The draft, because let's call it what it is. It's a televised employment fair, okay? The climax of which amounts to reading a list of non-alphabetical names into a microphone. And by the way,
yeah,
boy, this annoys me. But he's always talking about how the draft is so inspiring. It's so uplifting. I don't find anything worthwhile about watching young men being forced to randomly live in a city that is not of their choosing. What's good about that? The American dream is you work hard. This is the American dream. You're in your awful hometown, right? You work very hard in hopes that someday, maybe, you might earn enough money to choose to live in a slightly less awful place, okay? But these young men, Dan, they're completely denied that choice. They get handed an adjustable hat instead, and then Adam Silver says to him, well, abnormally tall man, you live in Orlando now, and congratulations.
Which NBA city do you imagine would be your least
Oklahoma
favorite
City.
to live?
Oklahoma City. I'm sorry to jump on you. I knew where you were going. That is the worst place in the world. It's just so obvious. No point in pretending to pause for reflection. You've been to OKC? Have you been there? Anyone?
I have not. No, I've not.
Okay, I drove through it one time and I kind of blacked out from boredom. Because you know what's nice occasionally? Like a hill or a frickin' forest. The entire city is a flat, dry pancake of oil derricks and asphalt. And I'm sorry, people of Oklahoma City. No, I'm sorry.
Come on.
I feel bad, OKC people, if you're just driving to work now or doing the dishes or whatever boring thing you're doing, and all of a sudden you just got caught and you caught this stray. But you got to understand. I mean, please. I mean, you do live in Oklahoma City. You get it, right? I mean, you live there. Well, come on. Maybe they're thinking, hey, I know what they're thinking in OKC right now. What about Sacramento? That's horrible. True. But Sacramento is at least in California, which is an hour's drive or an hour's flight from some of the greatest cities in the world. OKC is only impressive in contrast to the rest of Oklahoma. That's like living upwind from an outhouse. It's only best option if you're forced to live near piles.
Okay, all right. Enough of that. Don't do that to the
But young men are being sent there against their will.
We have listeners there. We have listeners. Do you have any predictions about Victor Wembanyama? Mike Ryan is out. He's got his doubts about Wembanyama. This might be a tricky name for you to say, drinking. It's a tricky name for me to say,
Wembanyama. No, I can't believe Mike's not there. I was ready to tear him a new one about that. I heard him the other day that Victor, I'm going to quote Mike. Mike said he's not good. That's how he assessed Victor Wembanyama. Over the top, contrary to objective reality that the rest of us share. I mean, I'm worried about him, that he's gotten Bayless pilled, you know? And Mike, if you're listening to this, excuse me.
Oh, come on.
Oh, my goodness.
Come on,
Well,
be a professional.
You know, I am. I just need the lubrication, and sometimes it comes back at me. Mike, if you're listening, you're too young to go full Skip Bayless, okay? Because this is how it starts. You start out with a few wild takes that seem like fun, and then 20 years go by in a flash, and suddenly you're a slab of beef jerky with unnaturally white teeth snarling about LeBron James. I mean, because let's be honest, Mike is halfway there now. So
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say that I disagree with him on that one.
Yeah.
Wembanyama is not overrated. Because here's a fun stat. I heard a lot of the stats he was spouting. Here's a counter stat to all that. And I am well known for my knowledge of analytics. And this one just stood out to me. He's 7'5", okay? His fingers are 12 inches long. Did you see the pic? You see? Yeah, there it is. Look at him holding a baseball in his hand. It's like a Mentos in his hand. I mean, if the guy ever took a dick pic, he'd have to have somebody else hold his Johnson just to give it the proper scale.
Come on.
What? The guy can go to the rim and the three-point line at the same time. He doesn't need to move.
Yeah.
That's the whole game these days, three-pointers and layups. On day one of his NBA career, Mike Ryan, this kid will be the single best player at disrupting both layups and threes. And here's my prediction, Dan. In his rookie season, Wembanyama will get at least one triple-double with 10 blocks or more. Okay? Can the good people at DraftKings help us out with that friendly wager? I'd like to bet Mike Ryan personally on that.
Nobody's doing it with blocks except Hassan Whiteside in the Puerto Rican
Los
League.
Piratas stand up.
Yes, he is. Thoughts on Zion Williamson, please. He might leave the Pelicans, and he's embroiled in that whole sex scandal thing.
I mean, I feel very bad for this young man, Dan, because I know what that is like for your dirty laundry to be out in the street.
You do, yeah.
I really do, and to be judged and kink shamed. I mean, for consensual. Wait, I gotta take a sip when I mess up.
Yeah, that's right. Consensual. Wembanyama
Consensual.
was fine.
I did well with Wembanyama.
You did.
I stumbled on consensual. But these are consensual sex acts with very attractive and very unstable women. I mean, I know that story all too well. So from one horny, mistake-prone man to another, Zion, I am rooting for you, my fellow disgusting brother. And frankly, I'm pretty shocked that the public is so fascinated by such vanilla details about the young man's sex life. I mean, come on.
Vanilla? Vanilla?
Yeah.
I mean, unseemly. Vanilla?
Okay, not vanilla for squares like you, Dan Le Batard, but some of us have actually lived, okay? Some of us have plumbed the depths of our sexuality like poorly made submersibles at the bottom of the ocean.
Oh, come
I mean,
on. Come
well,
on.
no, you come on. Spitting in somebody's mouth. I mean, a woman does that to me. That's barely foreplay. If anything, that's like a friendly hello. That's just the intro business to get out of the way before the real adventure can begin. Spitting in somebody's mouth. Who cares? If you're going to cast aspersions on Zion, I think it could be argued that he does have some impulse control issues, like, you know, similar to John Morant, only instead of flashing guns on the internet, Zion's issue sounds like a classic case of DoorDash and Smash.
I don't know what that term is. What I'm unfamiliar.
I'm so excited. I know a term that the kids invented and somebody else doesn't. The kids came up with that. That's where DoorDash and Smash is, where you order large amounts of fast food, and then you time the delivery so that the meal arrives right directly after the completion of all sexual activities. So please try it with your good lady wife, Dan Le Batard, because you haven't lived until you're eating lemon pepper wings in the bed that you've just soiled with bodily juices. And mere seconds before.
No.
Yes, whiny girl. And I wouldn't argue that DoorDash and Smash is a recipe for the healthiest mind and body. And let's face it, that's the real issue with Zion, is his body. I mean, it's a one-of-a-kind athleticism trapped in a frame that so obviously just wants to chunk out and become riddled with gout.
Oh, come on.
I mean, there's a war brewing inside him between the athlete that he is and the fat guy that his body clearly yearns to be. And I still believe in him. I believe in Zion. On the court, he's got that dog in him. Problem is that off the court, that dog is always just so hungry. Like eating a don't what?
Don't fat shame him.
I'm not. I'm just stating facts here. I mean, he's obviously got eating a pack of uncooked hot dog. I can't even say it. He's hungry man. He's got to take it easy. He's got to tame that dog. And no matter what his sex life is, he's not going to live up to his vast potential if he doesn't. And, I'm getting a little distracted. I'm sorry I messed up that last bit.
But I don't understand what you were saying about uncooked hot dogs.
I'm saying that he's got a genuine dog on the court. Off the court, that dog is very hungry, like eating a pack of uncooked hot dogs straight from the fridge kind of hungry. Okay? Okay. There it is.
Okay, that is very hungry, yes.
What's distracting me is the absence of Stugotz. I haven't once heard the nicotine-soaked death rattle that is his laugh. And I assume that he, of all people, would be into the weird sex that I was just talking about. Where's Stugotz?
He's on vacation again. He's following Dead and Company around.
Oh, get out of here.
He is.
He's following that's where he is?
Yes.
Okay, no fair. I call no fair. Nobody told me you can use vacation time to get paid to do drugs. Okay, well, I'm a sucker because this whole time I've been doing drugs and still showing up to work. I didn't know there was another option here.
Are you on drugs right now? Are you high at this moment? Is that why you botched your uncooked hot dogs thing?
Got my usual Sazerac, and no, I am not on drugs. Well, yes, I'm on a little bit of drug. You know what I'm doing? I'm microdosing about a quarter ounce of mushrooms right now.
That's not microdosing.
Well, my drug tolerance is very big. It's as big as Victor Wembanyama's fingers. So for me, a gallon-sized Ziploc pack of magic mushrooms, that's micro. And I'm fine, by the way. Look, I can do the thing, the roadside test. I'm totally good. I mean, you are moving around the frame a little bit, Dan, but honestly, it's kind of nice to see. At least you're getting some exercise in my hallucinations. It's very nice.
Come on, you're going to fat shame me too?
Well, somebody better. I mean, the yes men over there ain't going to do it. I know. You look great, Dan. There you go. You look fantastic. Anyway, I hope Stugotz has fun. I totally understand why he had to drop all of his responsibilities and fly up to New York and Boston to hear a couple of 80-year-old men jam out on stage. Because as everybody knows, if there's one thing that improves with age, boy, is it ever improvisational guitar solos.
No,
that's some fun stuff.
I think John Mayer now plays with them. He's the youth of the troupe.
John Mayer's the new blood, huh? Well, I take it all back. My goodness, John Mayer playing with the last few living members of the Grateful Dead. Oh, I retract my sarcasm, Dan. Because everybody knows, boy, sprinkle a little John Mayer on anything. That'll enhance the experience of watching elderly people do things that they used to be good at. Jeez, maybe Stugotz and I can split another bag of shrooms and watch 94-year-old Bob Cousy and John Mayer play a little one-on-one. About as fun as watching frail, near-death men struggle through Uncle John's band.
All right,
okay?
let's talk baseball now. I'm done with
John Mayer joins the Dead. My goodness.
I am done with your music opinions. Let's talk baseball, please.
Finally. Great. That's why Ryan and Stugotz took off, right? Because they knew we had to talk baseball today, so they bugged out. My goodness. I get to finally talk about literally the only sport being played right now in America on this, what is a sports podcast. Thanks for allowing me the privilege. Yeah, well...
Sort of.
Well said.
Well
said. No. Well, I can't argue with. Can't argue with that. Man, you're good. You are good, Dan Le Batard. I understand. I get it. It's an opinion that is shared by many folks, especially young folks, about why baseball is no longer a national sport. I have a theory on it. I think it's because baseball's every day, which means there's no pause in the action, which means there is nothing for the sports media industrial complex to talk and dissect and argue about. So instead of all that hot air, there's always another actual game to play and to watch. See, baseball is the Steven Soderbergh of sports, Dan. So prolific for so long, it becomes hard to appreciate it. There's just too much of it to take in. But I would argue that's also what makes baseball so very special, that it is every day. It's constant, especially now in a time when everything seems to be in flux, doesn't it? Everything just seems broken. So many things seem to be changing for the worse, like off the top of my head, out of thin air, right?
Yeah.
Like 2 examples. Hey, how about the fact that our global climate is irrevocably and that fascism is on the rise, and I mean all over the world? Or more locally, the fact that in your state of Florida, they are banning the public discussion of Black history from public schools. I mean, kudos over there. Scary, scary stuff. Kind of news that can cause any rational person to just spin out in doom spiral. Or instead, you can take a nice deep breath and know that there's a baseball game on today, just like there was a baseball game on yesterday and every spring and every summer day since the Civil War. Only American institution that's still functioning since then, Dan. I encourage everyone to grab onto it like a railing as our democracy and our environment just fall down the stairs like elderly guitar players of Stugotz's favorite band.
All right, Brockmire, it was good seeing you again. Always a pleasure. Good having you back. Stay out of the drink, please. Start drinking a little later in the day. Good talking to you, Brockmire.
I love you, Dan. I'm in love with you. There, I said it.
Okay, that was unnecessary. I appreciate your time, though. Your love, thank you for that as well.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Otherwise, I'm just dead inside, except for my feelings for you.